I keep with my speech. Topic is about rich and poor mindset. An eye-opening interview with Robert Kiyosaki. Yes. So let's begin. Yes. The most absolute idea is go into school, get a job, work hard, and save money. Get out of debt and invest for the long term in the stock market. See, why would you save money when they are printing trillions of dollars? The gap between the 1% and 99% is massive. You see, it's not just money. You have to step back and look at the bigger picture. So what do you do? Yes, what do you do? In every one of us, there's still a poor person inside me. There's also a middle class person, and the middle class person wants security. The one that study by check, and they are a rich person. And that's all inside of us except that it's not taught. It's taught to go to school, get a job, and get a paycheck. You not taught how to get rich. It's a rich at that poor that my rich dad refused to pay me. He said the paycheck was one of the 10 things you can check in your life. He says the moment you check a paycheck, you unemployed, and that's the mindset. So my rich dad never paid me. It drove my poor dad, you know, a government employee nut. You got to pay people. And rich dads were not saying that the paycheck were bad. He said he didn't want to be a slave to money. So as an entrepreneur, you know, if rich dads for it, I just try another company. I don't need to pay check. I don't need anybody to take care of me. If my government doesn't like me, I move to another country because they need entrepreneurs there. So the entrepreneur is not so much the business. The entrepreneur is really the mindset and the skill set and the different set of rules. You see, I don't operate small business to not apply in the same rules as a big business. Entrepreneur is a mindset first, a skill set and rules. And depending upon whether you an employee or small business, the rules are different. The mindsets are different. The skill sets are different. It could say one thing to somebody who's never been an entrepreneur, and they think about making leap or failed into become an entrepreneur. What could you tell them? Well, I just tell them the same thing that happened to me. You know, my last paycheck I still remember it clearly. It was one of my worst and the best days of my life. And I was in Puerto Rico. I was working for Xerox. And my boss gave me my light. It wasn't a paycheck, it was a bonus check. I think it was about 30,000 bucks. That's all. That's the only problem with that. So I got the check and I went, holy mackerel. And so I was excited, but I was also disturbed. And so this other guy come up to me. His name was John, and John said to me this, "You're going to be packed." I said, "Why?" He says, "Because you're going to fail." I looked at him and I said, look, fail is plenty worse. Because that's what he did. He left Sharas, failed, and he came back. I said, look, you fail and you came back. But I'm going to fail and I'm never coming back. And that is the attitude. Do you know what I mean? If you say, well, if I fail, I go back to mommy and daddy, then that's what you do. So if you fail, that's when I become an entrepreneur because I had no money. I had no money for years. Yes, I didn't have a paycheck. But that's what my rich dad encouraged me to do. He says when you don't have this paycheck, you get hungrier, smarter, and it attacks of your character. Will you become a crook? Will you become a dishonest? Will you cheat and steal? Or will you become a better human being? So really that's the benefit of becoming an entrepreneur. You really find out who you are. Yes. When you don't have anything. So you always have to look at, too many people look at, well, what's going to happen to me? When you look at the big picture, you also going to know just when something bad happens, something good is going to happen. But you gotta prepare for whatever is coming. If you think the next 20 years will be like the last 20 years, you're going to get creamed. When you and I go to the supermarket and we buy a carton of milk, we always check for the expiration date. But most people do not check for the expiration date on the brands. Instead of getting out of debt, I get into debt. I tried refinance 300 million in debt. I went from 5% to 2.5 interest. I made a fortune. Every month more money comes in because my cost of money has gone down. So while some financial experts are saying get out of debt, I'm saying learn how to use debt. See, when I come back from serving in Vietnam in January of 73, and the first thing my rich dad said to me was, go to school to learn how to invest in real estate. It was It wasn't really a test, it was how to use debt and taxi. Debt and taxi made the rich rich. Debt and taxi made the poor and middle class poor. So as a rich guy who are doctors, lawyers, or you guys they're getting richer, doctor are getting cream. Oh yes, they are making more money, but the check call me less. And my daughter shot zero at me. He is happy, he said. Oh guess what, I found on my $1,000,000. And I said, yes, this is shot 3 weeks ago. And so I said, yes, well, how much you pay in tax? He says, 750,000 in taxi. So his net were about 400,000. That's not bad. But when I made $1,000,000, I keep $1,000,000. And the reason is because I don't make it by working for money. So if you work for money, your tax. So that's why lesson number 1 in Rich Dad Poor Dad is the rich don't work for money. What we do instead is create business as entrepreneurs. We acquire real estate. I don't invest in the stock market. So the reason is because as entrepreneurs, I have more control over my income. How much I make and how much I pay in taxi. And because I'm an entrepreneur as well as investor in real estate, I pay zero tax. So every time I make, let's say, $1,000,000 as an entrepreneur, I immediately investing in real estate and I have a 4 to 1 step. So I put $1,000,000 in real estate. I get $4 million from the bank. That's why I love the banks. But the banks are accruing everything else. Terrible, but it's good for me. I thought you said when you bring it's good for you. But when you bring it back for people that work for money. Because when you bring a saver get creamed. And people who work for money get creamed. And when they bring debtor get rich. You see, debt and taxes make the rich richer. And debt and taxes make the poor and middle class poorer. When we have a absolute idea, get absolute result. So what's happening for most people? The idea of going to school, getting a job, working hard, saving money, and getting out of debt. Buying your house because it's an asset and investing for a long term. It's absolute. The world has changed. The world changed in 1971 when President Nixon took out the gold standard, and money became debt. What if we get rid of school? Then what would happen? Would it be better if we had no educational system at all? No, I'm saying education was more important before. It's just absolute. You know, there are that more laws which state information doubles every 18 months. In other words, everything is absolute 18 months. So, as it is a recent phenomenon. So when you come out of school, you really, and I getting out, I go to Harvard to see my friend, and I said, yes, that's how long 50 years ago. Today, the banks are charging to interest to save money. In other words, the banks don't want your money because they bring it too much of it. And that's why the tablets and stocks and plus in real estate and all this. People are dumping the cash because, as I said in here, this book say a lose and cash is trust, and that people are I want a high paying job. Well, that's an absolute idea. Get out of that. It's an absolute risk. You should learn how to get into debt and how to use the debt. And they never teach you about that. The reason one person is away up here and the 99 are going this way. Get down. It's because when you print money, two things happen. Inflation and taxes. Two things. It's crossing them. And any entrepreneur that thinks I'm just going to make money and start a business, I make a lot of money because that's what we talk about. They really have got to smell the rose, man. And you know that's not what the real entrepreneurs are doing. Most entrepreneurs, there's 28 million small business owners in America. 24 million are one-person entrepreneurs. They called non-employee entrepreneurs. So and that's what happens when people don't really understand what an entrepreneur does. Small people are self-employed, but they're not really entrepreneurs. The self-employed pay the highest taxes of all, and nobody tells them that. Yes, it's also called the entrepreneur spirit. But what actually checking about was they're so certain at a bad economy. You know, though eternally, you and I, we all have an eternal economy. But we also have an internal economy. And the willpower is to change our internal economy. So for me, I can see the good, I can see the bad. I don't really give a damn, because I'm going to be rich anyway. But a poor person with a poor personal economy, all they're going to see is a bad economy, because they don't know how to make money in any economy. And a middle class person, they have a middle class economy. You know what they want is a nice house, a steady paycheck, the job, and the car. And so when you check their job or why to them that is that well, since an entrepreneur doesn't have a job anyway, it's no big deal. So all I'm saying to people is what Becky Fuller taught me. The all what you say, you know what I mean. You know to give rural admin too. So if you think the economy is bad, it's because the economy is bad. And if you think that's steady, you know employment is important. Then you will see an economy without jobs. The economy versus the internal economy, where you control Venus. I control Venus. It's called internal focus versus an internal focus. So the real entrepreneur has an internal focus. But if they fall down, they say, oh, this is good because I'm going to go up higher. You know, the average person will fall down and say, oh, I'm going to test some browser. Or somebody has a mid-test, or the mid-test don't matter well. Mid-test matter. It means you didn't know something. But a real entrepreneur, whether they fall down or they go, they always can go up. They can stand back up and go higher. Just no matter what happened. They got stronger and better and smarter and happier. But person with a weak internal mindset is that they show afraid of what happens generally happens. Like people who are afraid of losing their jobs, they generally lose their jobs. You know what I mean? Yes. No doubt. So everything comes through you. Yes. So the entrepreneur first job is control inside here. Not outside there. Yes. The moment you check that by check, you an employee. You got to be stronger than that. It's about inside control. Yes, it's my all. Thank you for your listening. Bye bye. See you next time.